Good morning, beloveds. Oh, it's 35 degrees out there with it feels like of 29. So it's bright and sunny, but I have not been out in it yet. Because it's cold, which is good. You know what? I'm going to be out in it soon enough. Hopefully it'll have warmed up just a bit when we're headed to service. So, it is January 16th. Our title is The Peace and the Power of a Conscious Recognition of the Divine Presence is with me today. And our quotes start with, "Now the Lord that is Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty." And that is 2 Corinthians 3:17. There is an originating and all-comprehending principle in my words and an authoritative law for the things which I enforce. And that is the texts of Taoism. Our last quote is, "My fifth name is all good things created by Mazda, the offsprings of the holy principle." And that is the Zen Avesta, which sounds like Zoroastrianism, but I could be wrong. It happens occasionally. All right, so let's see what Ernest and Raymond have to say. "We all desire to experience liberty and to know that the all-comprehensive mind and principle is in the very words we speak. The Zen Avesta tells us that all good things are created by Mazda, the principle of light. Here we have a concept of liberty, of light, and of freedom accompanying our words, a divine authority imparting a creativeness to our thought. This creative power of spirit is in our word in such a degree as we become conscious of spirit. We know that words of love overcome thoughts of hate. We know that peace will heal confusion and that a sense of power will overcome the belief of weakness. All our work should be built upon the supposition that good overcomes evil, not by combating, but by transcending it. The non-combativeness of spirit is the principle back of the law of non-resistance, which Jesus so plainly taught. The spirit has no opposites. It is always joyous, perfect, and free. There is no difference in the essence between our spirit and the spirit. The spirit of man is the spirit of God in man. The spirit of the spirit of humanity is the spirit of God in humanity. The two are one. The peace and the power of the divine presence is with me today. Therefore, I walk calmly, knowing that I am enveloped in the divine presence. I am fully conscious that my word liberates every bondage, whether it is in myself or in others. I know that my word is the law of good, automatically executing itself, irresistibly proclaiming itself, inevitably fulfilling itself." And so I have a vivid imagination, and I'm envisioning, and it's probably I've seen it in commercials, or even movies, because I love a good story, where how words coming out of our mouth can bind us or free us. Like literally, I'm seeing words coming out and creating either ropes that bind us to, or how they touch the ropes that bind us and they just kind of dissolve into like little twinkling lights. It's an interesting image, and it makes me kind of think about what I say to other people, and are my words freeing or binding? It's an interesting idea. Because I am conscious of the power of my words, then I can make the choice to use freeing words or binding words. And just the image that comes along with that is interesting. Am I using words to bind myself to another person, or am I using words to free myself from, to some degree, from other people or from situations? Am I using words to bind myself to them or free myself from them? And it is about being conscious of the power of our words. It's an intriguing idea. It would make for an interesting anime. Not that that is in my skill set. But it's an idea. It's an idea. Maybe somebody will latch onto it and create that anime. And I will freely give them credit for it. Take my idea and run with it. So, all right. So the title is The Peace and the Power of Conscious Recognition of the Divine Presence is with me today. That is what we do. That is the point of spiritual practice. Whatever else that we go into spiritual practice to accomplish, the point of spiritual practice is to feel the divine presence. We say it's to unify with the divine presence, which is a little bit of a misnomer because we're already unified with the divine presence. It is up to us to be conscious of it. It's that conscious feeling of the unification with the divine mind, the divine spirit, whatever it is that you are unifying with. We're already part of it. So we go into spiritual practice to bring it to the forefront of our consciousness, until it becomes so second nature that it just happens, that it's always there, that we can step into that feeling like literally with the snap of our fingers. It's like it's always in the back of our mind. It's always in the back of our mind. And that's why we encourage spiritual practice every day. So, the first quote, now the Lord that is spirit, and where the spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. So that's 2 Corinthians 3:17. I would encourage you, pull out your Bible, look up 2 Corinthians 3:17 and read a few lines before and a few lines after to see what they're talking about. But I would tell you that the recognition of spirit is where the liberty is. Spirit's always there. It's your recognition of spirit that can liberate you. There is an originating and all comprehending, and then in brackets, principle in my word. Comprehending. And an authoritative law for the things, again, in brackets, which I enforce. And that's the texts of Taoism. So we're using a principle. And we are using a law. And when we put into law what it is that we want, be it righteous, it will be granted. It will be done. It is already on its way. And then the Zen Avesta, I think it is Zoroastrianism, which is a fascinating religion / spirituality that is actually very similar to Christianity. It's worth a look. My fifth name is all good things created by Mazda, the offspring of the Holy Principle. And the reason why I think it's Zoroastrianism pardon me. The reason I think it's Zoroastrianism is because he says in the text Mazda is the god of light. So and I remember that from one of the classes that I took. Okay, so I like it. It's my fifth name is all good things created by Mazda. It's like if you look, the prayer beads that originated in Hindu but are most commonly worn by Buddhists. It's the 108 names of God, and all good is one of the 108 names. Does it translate exactly like that? Probably not, but close. So in one class that I took, one of the people did I think he made cupcakes, and each cupcake had a name of God on a little flag, and he used a whole bunch of different names of God. It was really interesting. And we all picked the name that resonated the most with us, and I think I still have mine. I'll have to look. I probably have more than one. I like cupcakes. Okay, so we all desire to experience liberty and to know that the all-comprehensive mind and principle is in the very words we speak. We all desire to know that. We all desire. And it is to the degree that we recognize it. And he's going to say that in just a minute. The Zen Avesta tells us that all good things are created by Mazda. And here it says in parentheses, the principle of light, which is why I think it's Zoroastrianism. Here we have a concept of liberty, of light, and of freedom accompanying our words. A divine authority imparting a creativeness to our thought. A divine authority that we can use to the degree that we recognize it. And that's what the wisdom of the ages have been telling us. You are more powerful than you think you are. It is up to you to recognize where this power is coming from. Because the good news is it's not coming from you. It's coming through you, and it is coming from an inexhaustible source. The creative power of spirit is in our word in such a degree as we become conscious of spirit. See, I told you he'd say it. And that's the point of spiritual practice. To become conscious of spirit, to become so conscious of spirit that not only is it in the forefront of our consciousness, it's also in the back of our consciousness, it's in our subconscious, and therefore we always speak with authority. Now, the more conscious we are, the more authority we're going to speak with. So, and then I like how he goes into this. We know that words of love overcome thoughts of hate. Try it. When you're in a situation, especially, you start with yourself. It's like when and now I've got Yoda in my head. Yoda, the Emperor, and Darth Vader from Star Wars. Let the hate flow. And Yoda's exactly counseling. You know, he's over there going, oh, no, let calmness flow. Because, and that's exactly what Luke did. When the Emperor's encouraging him to let the hate flow, Luke stops and he takes a deep breath. He calms and centers himself. And he grounds himself in the love of his father. And that's how he wins. So, yes, I'm letting my geek flag fly. I know exactly who I am, and I'm proud of it. I will use Star Wars. But if you did, there was an interview with George Lucas, and you can read the books on his shelf. One of the books on his shelf was The Science of Mind Text by Ernest Holmes. So, you want to know about the Force? He learned a little bit from Ernest Holmes. George Lucas did. So, we know that peace will heal confusion. Again, in that moment, Luke stopped and took the deep breath. He centered in that peace. And it stilled the confusion so that he knew what he needed to do. And a sense of power will overcome the belief in weakness. And that sense of power is coming from a source that is inexhaustible. It comes through us, not from us. Which is why it can never be weak. And when we open that channel up, neither can we. All our work should be built upon the supposition that good overcomes evil, not by combating it, but by transcending it. So yesterday we talked about Jesus walking on water, and it's kind of that same idea. If we envision the water as emotions, then Jesus walked over the emotions. It's not that he didn't have them, but he didn't allow them to rule him. And so this is the same idea. not by combating. We don't have to fight evil because evil isn't a power. What we do is we recognize that it is a misuse of the power, and we transcend above it by stopping the misuse and using it correctly. We learn, which as humans, we are very good at learning. And then sometimes we're not. Sometimes we want to make the same mistake 3,000, 4,000 times before we go, oh yeah, that's not working. Maybe I should try something else. So, the non-combativeness of spirit is the principle back of the law of non-resistance, which Jesus so plainly taught. The non-combativeness of spirit and non-resistance. It's about grounding ourselves in peace. It is about grounding ourselves in love. And when we do that, then confusion and hate break around us. Then we can stop and see the path that we need to take to do what we need to do to change the situation. The Spirit has no opposites. It is always joyous, perfect, and free. There is no difference in the essence between our spirit and the Spirit. And I think that's something we need to put in bold print somewhere where we can see it. It's like the little spirit that we use, the little s that we use, is the same spirit as God, the big S. Because we're part of that. So, the spirit of humanity is the spirit of God in humanity. And the two are one. I'd like to edit that line to make it inclusive to all living things. I'm just not doing it this morning, so what the word I want I can't even come to. So, all right. It'll come to me. The peace and the power of the divine presence is with me today. Therefore, I walk calmly, knowing that I am enveloped in the divine presence. I know that because I look around and everywhere I look, I see Spirit looking back at me. I see God looking back at me. I recognize that when I look at another living being's eyes, I see that Spirit within. I know that everything around me is made of that Spirit. I am fully conscious that my word liberates every bondage, whether it be in myself or in others. And that's one of the reasons why it's, one, important to choose our words carefully. And two, to manage our thoughts, to weed our garden on a regular basis. So that when people say things and a reaction is startled out of us, it is in line with what we believe. So that when people say things, because I was running into a situation with a certain person who kept saying the same thing over and over again, and it was very upsetting to me. And finally, I got put into a situation where a reaction was startled out of me that made the other person stop and think about what they were saying. And as of right now, that person has stopped saying it. Because what I said was in line with what I believe. Even though the reaction was startled out of me and I was upset when I said it. But it was in line with what I believe. It was in line with that peace and that love and that generosity. And it made the other person stop and think. And I didn't do it in a confrontational way, which is why it was way more effective. So, weed your garden. Weed your garden. And that's what it is about my word liberating every bondage, whether it be in myself or in others. Because in that case, I liberated both myself and her. I know that my word is the law of good, automatically executing itself, irresistibly proclaiming itself. and inevitably fulfilling itself. So, the mission today, should we choose to accept it? Oh, watch me figure this one out. The mission today, should we choose to accept it, is to walk calmly in the peace and power of the divine presence, knowing that we are enveloped in it. That is the mission. It's the point of spiritual practice. To consciously recognize, to consciously unify, to consciously feel the divine presence around us. To know that absolutely everything that we want and need comes to us through it. And when we say the what and give up the how, it finds amazing ways to bring us what it is that we need. And it also opens up our eyes to looking around and seeing that we are far more than we think we are. All right, beloveds, that's the mission today. I'm also going to encourage you, as I always do, to do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself, whatever it looks like. Big, small, does not matter. It is the action. It is a spiritual practice to practice love, kindness, and compassion on yourself. And one of the amazing benefits of that kind of practice is simply that we're a little harder to do it for ourselves. It's easy to do it for people we love. It's generally pretty easy to do it for strangers. Yeah, there are people in our lives that are a little more difficult. But if we can practice on ourselves, we can do it for anybody. Absolutely anybody. It becomes a habit. It becomes a default setting. It becomes a first response. And that's how we go about creating a world that's just amazing. So, I also do encourage you to do something to engage your mind and your body, unless it's your day of rest. Sunday is my day of rest from physical exercise. Although I do have a fair amount of errands to do, so I don't know how much resting I'll get done. Go get that bright light, face full of sun, early in the morning. That'll set your hormones aright and kind of set your day on point. And drink plenty of water. And, as I do like to say, because I learned it from Ernest, open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven to remind you, you do live in heaven, right here, right now. It is all around us all the time. And we can do what Emma suggested. Look for the good and praise it, because that's how we find heaven. It is. All right, we are going to have an amazing service for you at 11. And I do not know what tomorrow looks like. I am going to California tomorrow to panel. It's my ordination panel. So the next few days, I will do it, because 9 o'clock in California, or 9 o'clock here is 7 o'clock in California. So I don't think being there for a week is going to reset me. So I should be able to do this pretty close to 9 o'clock our time here every day. Because tomorrow I got to get up and go to the airport. I don't know if I'll do this here or I'll do it later in the afternoon in California, but it'll get done. It will get done. And then y'all have a good thought for me at 11:30 on Tuesday. My panel is at 9:30 in the morning in California, so it'll be 11:30 here. It'll be all good. And then the fact that I got to go take a COVID test, yay! I'm so excited about that. But I'll go get that at 7 o'clock in the morning. Probably what'll happen is I'll go get the COVID test, come back to the hotel room, do the COVID test, do this while I'm waiting on the COVID test results, and then get on with the rest of what's going on. So I'm headed for the convention. I'm excited, and it's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a good time. I'm really looking forward to my ordination panels. So. This is my promise. I will do these. The timing may be a little a little more inconsistent than I already am. So take care of yourselves. Know that you are loved. And have a great day. An amazing day, a wondrous day, a chilly day, a bundled up in warm blankets day, a hot chocolate day. Cold days are good days for hot chocolate. If I was going to be here for the rest of the week, I'd make chili today. But have an enchanting day, a wondrous day, a good day. And if that is too much pressure, simply have a day. Because you are enough, just as you are. You are a beloved child of God in whom God is well pleased, always and forever. So you can have a grace day. Every day. All right, beloveds. We'll be back with an amazing service for you right here on Facebook Live at 11 a.m. And Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. And then I will be back with you tomorrow sometime. I'm not sure when, not sure where, but I'll get it done. So know that you're loved. Know that I love you. And I will see you next time.